And it's probably just nice to be able to see how I'm doing these things as well. So I know most of you will know Flux. Flux is a little sort of teardrop shape. And when you create it, you can have it kind of just growing out of each other, or you can just have like a single flux kind of just coming along on its own. And you decorate flux with little lines and dots, so you can kind of give it a more organic feel by adding little sweeping lines and dots. So we're going to use that today to go round our circle, because I just think that looked really nice. And that's what it looked like going round on my circle tile that I did. So I just kind of thought, yes, that looked good. The new tangle that we're going to do today is called leafing. And leafing starts with a circle, okay, in the middle like that. And then you come out of it with a kind of long, elongated kind of triangle shape. And what we're going to do is we're going to create what looks like a kind of little windmill, really. That's all I can describe it as. Because you kind of come round and you create this shape. It looks like one of those little sort of spinny toys that you used to get. And then from there you build out. So it's like doing an aura, but you're going to get smaller each time. So, and you're always going back into that center point. Okay, so you're just coming out and sweeping down, coming out and sweeping down, and each time you're kind of taking a step. And I kind of think it looks like the Sydney Opera House sort of idea. And each time you come out, you're getting smaller and smaller until you bump into this. Okay, so then you turn it round and you start again. And you come down and you just work around like that until you bump into the bottom. And if you've been doing Zentangle with me for a while, you know that you never draw over the top of a tangle. You always go underneath. So you'll never see me drawn over the top of anything that I've already drawn. You'll always just carry it on underneath. So you will carry on doing that all the way around this. Okay. And always move your tile. I mean, obviously this isn't the real one that we're doing, but always remember you can twist and turn your tile so that it is in a position that is comfortable for you, because that is the most important thing. It's got to be comfortable for you. Okay. So this is leafing, and you can, I'll just show you, you can actually build on this. So I've on my little tile that I've got to tell me how I do things. I've got it as a starting point. And then look how you can build this out. Okay, so this basically, from these little windmill points, you can actually then do the same on that end, and it will look like you've got some going behind. So just coming behind there, just turning it, and on the other side of your little windmill point, you're just doing exactly what we've just done, but obviously it stops when we hit the first pen mark that we've already got on our tile. Okay, so that builds out, and then from there you can just, at any point on this, you can just come out with a triangle, your little elongated shape, and then just build on from there. Okay, and that'll just come down until it hits. Okay, so that's quite a spreading one, which might be quite nice to do in the center of our tile today, and you can just color in the middle of the circle. Okay, and we'll talk about doing other coloring and shading and things obviously when we get into the proper. So that is called leafing. Okay, and that's what it looks like, smaller. And as I say, it started like that. So as always, you kind of look, if I had showed you that and said we're going to do that today, you probably would have went, what? But look how simple it was, because we just started with that simple shape and we built out and we create this. So the good thing about Zentangle is if you can draw a straight line, a curve, a circle, and a wavy line, you can do any of these tangles. So that's one of the tangles. The other one, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I'll show you it anyway, just in case we go and do it. It's called Zenith, and it's a wavy line. So you kind of doing like, and it'll depend on how you do it as to how chunky and, you know, the depth of your wave. And then what you do is you kind of look at where the kind of center points are on these little humps. And you're going to do a line that kind of goes up and then meets that, or should meet that dot. I missed my dot there. So you're doing another arc, and it's a bit like the floral flow that we did last week, only it kind of can just stop there. That is Zenith. But the good thing about Zenith is that you can then expand, so you could have like a little 1, 2, 3 coming out of there if you wanted. Obviously that bit would be coloured in. Or you could just have an orb. Okay, on those. So it's and then I could have a 1, 2, 3 on this side. And a 1, 2, 3 is basically a little teardrop, and then it's aura 1, 2. So you do the teardrop, which is 1, and then the aura 2, and the third aura 3. So a teardrop, an aura, and an aura. Okay, so we may do something like that today. So I think we should get started. So we're going to start. Okay, and I'm going to, on this edge, I'm going to make my first mark, and it's going to be the flux. So I'm just going to make a little loop shape just like that. And then from that, I'm going to just come out again from the same kind of spot and do another one. And I'm going to continue this around the edge of my circle. Just breathing normally and just concentrating on the marks that you are making on the page right now. And you can have it so that some are coming out from behind even. and even a few that will escape and be coming into your circle as well. And really think about how you're sitting today. Relax your shoulders. Don't be tensing anything up. Just really relax into just drawing on your tile. And I'm not joining mine up, I'm just going to leave a little bit of a gap on mine. And I'm going to come back in and just add a few more. Just not on everyone, but just kind of going around and just choosing some where I will double up. And they can be big, they can be tiny. And now I'm going to just do a very light feathered stroke on each of these petals, basically I'll call them. So you can have just a single line coming up and some dots, or you can have little feathered strokes coming off and dots. Just do what you feel is right. And if it's kind of arced round, then bring your feathered strokes in the direction, just so that it gives that shape. The only thing that you are thinking about is that mark that you are making in this moment right now. And just breathe normally. So I'm going to start with my pattern, this tangle leafing in the center. And I do a little circle. And then I'm going to come up and do that elongated shape. And then I'm just going to flip my towel round to the opposite side. And then I'm going to do exactly the same again. And then flip it round. You're creating this little windmill shape. And now just choose one of these little triangle shapes, and we're going to start just creating, it's like an aura, but you just are going to step down each time. Okay, so each time you're going to come out, you'll be a little bit lower, but you're bringing it back into that center. So just coming out, down, back to the center. So out, down. Okay, and we're just going to keep doing that until we bump into the other one. Okay. And then I'm going to turn around and do exactly the same on the next one. So each time you're just going to get slightly shorter, and you'll just continue until you bump into the other strip. And we always stop when we meet another line. And then I'm just going to color in the circle in the middle. So you can come off this, so we could have another bit that just rises up out of here. And remember, as soon as you bump into something, go behind. So I've got a little leaf there, so I'm just going to go behind that, come in, down. And your triangle can come out of any spot that you want. And you can, even here, I can just start having another one just coming down. And then I can just colour in this little bit here. Okay, just to give it a little bit of dimension and depth there. Okay. And equally on these little longer ones, I can come back in and just echo that same shape. Okay. So I think I'll have another one just coming out on the opposite side over here. Imagine where that next line would come behind my flux. And it's that hollyba where we always go behind. Oops. And just keep that going. And then on this side, and then I can just colour that bit in there. Okay. If you wanted to break something up before you do the next tangle, you can just use little orbs. So we could do little orbs all the way along. So I could just have a little orb on one of the corners and then just start drawing little circles. Just around the edge, and they can be whatever size you want them to be. And I'm just going to create a little border using orbs. That should be covered in actually. Okay. So that just creates a bit like a string really. And now I can do another tangle in this space here. So I'm actually going to do some lines. So I'm going to, let's just work out which direction, maybe like here. So I'm going to do some, do them here, some lines. Just to create a small grid. Just on this side. And I'm going to kind of stop. I'm going to just do some little circles across here just to kind of say that's where my grid's going to stop. Okay, so I've kind of got this rough grid just here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw some little lines. So I'll just show you. So I'm going to have my lines like this. And I'm just going to do little arches like that. Little arches. Okay. Like little waves. And they just, it's like they carry on from each other. So you started here and it just carries on like a little wave. So what you're basically doing in between is this. Okay. So we're going to go on our grid and do that. And obviously it'll be a little bit, I'm going to start down here first. Okay, like that. And then I imagine that there'll be one that will start behind this flux. So it'll finish about there. And then I'll do another one coming across. And then there'll be one here. And then maybe like that. And then that one will carry over there. And I'm just going to keep that going on this grid that I've created. Just little arches like that. Okay. Sorry, I threw that one in, but it just kind of felt right. So definitely remember to breathe. Okay, just normally. And just concentrate on that line that you're making now. So just creating a little wave. Okay, and just fill that space. Got quite a gap there actually, I could just fill that in. I think I'm actually going to do some little poke roots in here, but I'm going to make them slightly bigger than what we would normally do. So I'm going to have them sort of coming up. So we're going to have two little lines, and then smiley face, and then I'm going to have quite a large Pokeroot. Okay, I want quite a big. So I'm going to do two lines, smiley face, and then a circle coming out. Just going to squeeze them into this space. And you'll imagine that there's lots of them all kind of bunched up behind here as well. So make sure you draw those ones in as well. So I'll have some that you can only see a little tiny bit of them, but you know that they're there. So just coming off that. Okay. And I actually have some coming out of here as well. Okay. And I'm going to give these a little speckled look on one side, so I'm just going to do some little dots on those just to make them look a little bit more organic. So I'm just doing little dots just on one side. Okay, so I've got a little speckled Pokeroot. Okay, and that's just giving it texture. I'm going to just keep that going. Even though there's other things here, I know that behind there's some little Pokeroots. Okay. And I'm just going to colour in the spaces now underneath. Okay, so the background there, I'm just going to colour in. Remember to breathe, just normally. Okay. So I've just covered in the spaces. So over here, I think I'm just going to have some little fescues coming out. And I know I've said before, don't be afraid of the white space. So I'm going to just have some of these little fescues. So I'll just show you. They basically are just a little wavy line, and then you come back on yourself like the eye of a needle and just colour that in. I've done that quite big. So you kind of do a little wavy line, and then you just do a little loop to come back on yourself like the eye of a needle, and then you can colour that in. Okay, and they can be all shapes and sizes. And I just think it would be nice to have some just coming out of my flux on this side. I'm just going to come out. And there isn't a right way up in Zentangle. Actually, we're drawn in a circle anyway, so there definitely isn't a right way up today. So don't be worrying about things being upside down or in the wrong orientation, because basically we look at it every which way. I could actually have one just coming out to meet that. So I think now I'm going to look at doing some shading. So when we shade in Zentangle, we're not thinking about light. We're really just thinking about giving some dimension and making a 2D picture look 3D. So I'm going to use graphic pencil, and I'm going to start by adding some shading in the middle of my leafing. Okay, and then I'm going to use a paper stump or a tortillon and just drag that out. Okay, so to give a kind of feeling that you're going to be sucked into the middle of this. And then equally on this side where it's kind of sweeping down, I'm going to just put some, and where the two meet, I'll just give it a little bit of dimension by adding in some shading coming up from there. Okay. And then in here as well a little bit, just again where they meet. Just pull that out a little bit. And then just on this edge, where it meets the little string of orbs. Okay. And then on my flux, I tend to just shade the bottom part of them. So the lower half of them, just going to put a little bit of graphite down on each one. And then I'll just pull that up and blend it out. Just going to keep going with that. I'll just show you on the Clob, because I'll carry on do this in a second, but because this is a new one, I'm going to just shade in between each one. And really what you're aiming for is to make it look like they are tubes kind of popping. So if you leave a white top on these and colour in the sides, it'll look really 3D. But you need to have some white space on there to get that effect. So now you can see they're kind of like jumping off the page like little tubes. And just make sure that you are leaving some white space on those to get that effect. Okay, I'm just going to carry on doing my flux. So just adding. Okay, and on my little Pokeroot, I'll just shade the side that I've done dots to give that. Then I'm going to just go and just shade my little, just a little tiny bit of graphite in each of these little orbs, just on one side. Still got quite a lot of graphite on my little paper stump, so it's fine. So again, if you sort of shade half of them and leave half of them white, they'll start to kind of pop off the page for you. Okay. So then just look, hold it back and have a look and see that you've done everything that you wanted to do. Just a little bit there, I think actually I haven't defined that. Okay, yeah, that's better, I think. Okay. So now we're going to just find a little spot on our tile. And as this is our little piece of artwork, we need to put our initials. So I left a little space between my flux at the beginning, so where my little Pokeroot was, so I'm just going to put a little tiny PB just in there. Actually, just noticed that's just give a little bit of definition there because there's a gap. Okay. There we are. So just a few little tiny gaps between my flux there. Right. So if you hold it at arm's length and have a little look at it, and remember to just twirl it round, looking at it from every angle because there isn't an up and down with Zentangle. Okay. It's going to look different every which way you look at it. It's going to look different. Okay, and then I'm going to just turn it over and I'm going to write my name and today's date, which is the 26th. It's 2021, I have to remember that. And then just as I always do, write Zentangle session, and then I'm going to write which tangles we've used today. So the main one, obviously, the new one that we've learned today is called leafing. And then we had some fescu. And we had flux. And I did that other one just to completely take you by surprise. The tube one, and that one's called Clob, C-L-O-B. That was another new one that I didn't know I was going to do, so I hope you didn't find that too much of a problem. Just check. Oh, and then we did the Pokeroot. Okay, let's check, is that everything? Oh, and we did some orbs, didn't we? So, oh my goodness, did lots today. Did some orbs. Right. Okay, so